All right, the second topic I want to take a look at is altruism itself. And there have been many studies about how we get involved, how we see one another, how we intervene on behalf of each other. One of the stories that I want to underline for you that's in your book, actually, is the story about Paul Reza Bagina. And he was the hotel owner in Kigali, Rwanda, during the genocide that happened there. And Paul was a personal friend of one of the missionaries that I worked a lot with. They were a family in Kigali. They were trapped in the middle of all of the genocide that was going on between the Hutus and the Tutsi tribes. And Paul was one of the people that was instrumental in helping them get out of the country. And they were missionaries and caught in the crossfire, so to speak. And there's some pretty dramatic stories that they told me, even as I tried to help them debrief after the traumatic experience that they had gone through. But altruism itself is an unselfish concern for the welfare of others. And we would certainly say concern for the welfare of others. And the instance of what happened in Kigali would be a dramatic example. If you wanted to, and I may actually put it at the end of this, is the trailer for Hotel Rwanda. If you've never seen it, it's quite a story in terms of what Paul's role was in saving a number of Hutus and Tutsis, because he had married a Tutsi himself. He was a Hutu, and he married a Tutsi and was the manager of a luxury hotel in Kigali, and basically harbored people, almost 1,200 people, he saved from certain death by keeping them in the hotel. And then because he was so well connected in the community there in Kigali, was instrumental in keeping them safe. The downside, or the opposite of this, is something that is often referred to as the bystander effect. And this is most vividly seen in the Kitty Genovese story, where this woman in New York City, Genovese's story, was brutally attacked and raped on the streets of New York, and was screaming, and people would open their door, look out and see what would happen, and closed it again. Essentially, one of the key components of this is referred to as the diffusion of responsibility, is that whenever I think that there are other people who will get involved, then I will not take responsibility myself. And so if I see somebody in harm's way or needing help, and I see somebody else stop or assume that somebody else will stop, then oftentimes my responsibility is diffused, and therefore I won't respond accordingly. So the bystander effect is a key concept, at least in social psychology, that oftentimes keeps people from responding in dire circumstances. There are a number of things that have gone with this that set the stage for this to actually happen, in terms of overcoming this bystander effect. Obviously, I have to actually see the event. Let me write this out: bystander effect. I have to actually see it happening. So I've got to notice the event that's occurring. I also, under a variety of circumstances, if I interpret it as an emergency, then I will oftentimes overcome the lethargy of the diversion or the diffusion of responsibility. And I assume some level of responsibility myself to be able to intervene. And in your book, they refer to a number of civility. they refer to a number of other conditions that must be at present in order to have somebody actually overcome that. So the person needs to appears to need help and deserves it. They have to be somehow similar to us. If the person's a woman, if we're feeling guilty, and the one that really catches my attention is being in a good mood. Another way of saying that is being more magnanimous, more willing to help is a significant factor if I'm going to overcome this particular bystander effect itself. And those are just a few of the component parts of the bystander effect. What you need to keep in mind is this as a classic story of the diffusion of responsibility and how we can overcome it, or what kind of conditions need to be present in order for us to overcome it. Now, a couple things about helping behavior that are important in this context. Helping behavior is kind of a subset of altruism. In other words, what I do to help others, what motivates this behavior itself. And there's one significant theory to take note of. That's the social exchange theory that basically proposes that underlying all behavior, even helping behavior, essentially underlying all behavior is the desire to maximize our benefits, which may include increasing good feelings. So maximizing my benefit and minimizing our costs. Sometimes I forget how to spell. Minimize costs. And that's part of the social exchange theory. So, for example, we'll donate blood if we anticipate that there are rewards, social approval, feeling good about oneself for doing so, exceeds the costs, and that is the time and the discomfort that comes with it. There are some norms, social norms, which we've talked a little bit about already, that support helping behavior. And interestingly enough, in the Christian faith, this is also one of embedded in our faith, is helping those that are needy. Throughout Scripture, it talks about widows and orphans and people that don't have the necessary means to take care of themselves. Then we're called upon to basically help them. So one of the social norms that your book talks about is the reciprocity norm. And essentially this particular norm is the expectation that people will help, not hurt those who have helped them, and that's the reciprocity. So even for example, if you've ever watched the movie Pay It Forward, this norm is embedded in it, is that I pay forward that which I've been given, and the presumption is that will be returned to me by those who I help. So there's an implicit expectation of reciprocity when we actually help people that is mentioned here in altruism. The other one is a social responsibility norm, and this particular norm itself, is the expectation that people will help those who are dependent on them. So one, this is, I will have come back to me that which I've given to others. This is that I will help those who are dependent on me. And so help those dependent on me. So the presumption is that I won't take advantage of their dependency. That's what the social responsibility norm is that I will, because they're dependent on me, then this norm that's part of our thinking and behavior come into play, and I will take care of them, not use their dependency against them.